There's a version of you that lives in your head. He's probably a master at what he does. Disciplined, focused, achieving goals, kicking ass. Unfortunately, the real you keeps checking his phone, giving up on good habits after 3 days, and wondering why you're not world class yet. This is the gap Mastery by Robert Greene tries to close. Not with fake inspiration or motivation, but with a brutally real process. The process is nothing new. It's just not something we glorify in our modern TikTok brain rot day and age. But it's been followed by everyone from Leonardo da Vinci to Serena Williams to Elon Musk. And the beautiful part is that it has absolutely nothing to do with talent. It's about time, pressure, and the phases your brain has to go through if you want to get really ridiculously good at anything. So in this video, I'm going to break down that process and uncover myths about things like the 10,000 hour rule, why following your passion is terrible advice, and what mastery actually feels like once you achieve it. So without further ado, let's dive in. This is the part where most people give up, which is exactly why you shouldn't. So let's say you found something you think you want to get good at. Could be anything. Guitar, programming, maybe you've met a pretty French girl and want to do a little bonsoir, mon chéri. Anyways. You've downloaded the apps, bought the gear, watched a few YouTube tutorials, maybe you've even made a Notion page because you're super serious about it. And then you hit reality. Turns out you suck. And sucking feels bad. Welcome to the apprenticeship phase. The part absolutely no one glamorizes. The part that makes you feel like a worthless piece of crap that's never going to be loved by anyone besides their mother. Robert Greene says that this is the most important phase on the path to mastery, and the one that weeds out 90% of people. Why? Because it's hard on your ego. In this phase, your job is simple. Shut up, be a beginner, and learn. You're not trying to impress, you're not trying to perform, it's not time to post Instagram stories about it, and it's not going to be monetized by next Tuesday. Just shut up and learn. Here's the tricky part though, and where most people start to panic, because learning something deeply, from scratch, means dealing with this one terrifying question. Wait, do I even want this? See, people love to say follow your passion, like it's this divine compass you're born with. And all we hear about are the edge cases who found their passion at a young age and turn out to be brilliant. The Lionel Messis, the Magnus Carlsens, the Max Verstappens. But for the majority of us, we didn't discover our passion when we were 6. And we're not just going to magically wake up one day knowing what our life's passion now is. Instead, you have to develop it. You develop it by doing stuff badly, over and over, until it starts to click. You try things, you get curious, you suck at them, and slowly that curiosity turns into skill. And that's when the obsession kicks in. But that's not the end of the road. Eventually, something terrifying happens. You stop being terrible. And now the stakes are higher. Because once you're not bad, the temptation is to stay there. And this is exactly where you have to choose. You can stay comfortable doing the fun stuff, or you can lean into the hard, boring, often repetitive things that actually make you better. This is called deliberate practice. And it's not just putting in time. This is where the 10,000 hour rule is slightly misleading. Naval says it best. It's not 10,000 hours, it's 10,000 iterations. But how do you know which way to iterate? Or better yet, what's the optimal way to iterate that would maximize progress? And that's what deliberate practice looks like. It's actively fixing your weak spots. It's putting your attention on the areas of your craft that need it most. Alex Hormozi is the perfect example. We all know him now as the rich, jacked, successful dude. He used to be extremely insecure about his tiny calves. Weakness. So, what did he do? Every single workout, he started off by doing 100 calf raises. Every single workout. Deliberate practice. Remember, during this phase, you're learning, you're failing, you're doubting yourself, but you're also building the foundation that every master stands on. It's the part everyone wants to skip ahead, but skipping this phase is how you end up average forever. Survive this phase, and you earn the right to move on to the next phase. You shut up, you learned, you suffered quietly, and now, finally, you're decent. You can write a little, code a little, paint, lift, trade, coach, whatever your thing is, you're starting to get traction. And now the real question hits. What are you going to do with it all? This is what Robert Greene calls the creative active phase. The phase where you stop just absorbing and start applying. Where you take everything you've learned, all the structure, all the repetition, all the boring stuff, and you start making decisions for yourself. This is where you get your hands dirty. It's where you experiment. It's where you start developing your own style. Maybe boxing was your chosen skill. You know how to jab, how to throw a right hand, how to throw a hook, but how are you going to piece it all together? The danger of this phase is in thinking you're done learning. You've just graduated from taking notes to doing lab experiments. Trying stuff, breaking things, finding out what works for you. It's the developer who stops following tutorials and builds their own janky tool. Or the chef who tries a new flavor combination he's never seen before. It's the phase where originality starts to creep in. Not because you're actively trying to be different, but because you've spent so much time in the trenches that your instincts are starting to evolve. There's a paradox here though. You know enough to start being dangerous, but only if you keep iterating. Again, the Naval quote, try, fail, tweak, repeat. This stage isn't about creating perfection. It's about shipping, getting feedback, refining, and building momentum. You don't become a master by hiding in your lab forever. You get there by releasing so much ugly work that your ugly work eventually becomes better than most people's best. Again, a lot of people quit at this phase because now, instead of fighting your ego, you're fighting your fear. Fear of being judged, fear of not being ready, fear of doing something your way and it's still not working. But the reality is, there's no growth without exposure. You have to take risks. Calculated ones, weird ones, uncomfortable ones. This is creative courage, and it's a muscle you have to build. So how do you survive this phase? You keep your feedback loop tight. You stay humble enough to learn, but confident enough to ship. You stay curious, and you stay scrappy. You accept that some of your experiments are going to flop, publicly and hilariously. And you make peace with that, because every single person you admire went through this phase too. And they didn't escape it, they embraced it. So you've put in the time, you've sucked, you've iterated, and now slowly, almost invisibly, you've become dangerous. Not in a hypey way, not in a fake it till you make it way, in the way where things that used to take hours now take minutes. And they're better, cleaner, deeper. This is the mastery phase. The funny thing is that in a lot of cases, mastery doesn't look how you think it would. It's not necessarily awards or viral tweets or $1 billion. It usually looks more like play. The master, like the child, is playful again, but this time with the tools of a master. The child experiments wildly, chaotically. The master experiments intelligently, with nuance. See, mastery kind of takes you back to the beginning. You stop obsessing over whether you're good or bad, you just play again. But now, your play produces world-class results. And the reason why you're able to do this is because you've built what Robert Greene refers to as the intuitive mind, which is the merging of rationality and emotion. He describes how at this level, your brain isn't just firing mechanically. There's a merger between the rational and the emotional or intuitive, and you develop what he calls high-level intuition. This is where things become instinct. You're not consciously thinking through every step of what you're doing. The right choices just feel right. It's not magic. It's thousands of hours turning logic into muscle memory. This is what psychologists call tacit knowledge, where your skill is so deeply ingrained that you can't even explain how you're doing what you're doing. You just do. A pianist plays with their eyes closed. A coder sees bugs before they happen. A fighter dodges punches they didn't even register consciously. You look calm because you are calm, because you've been here 1,000 times already. Now at this point, you're probably nodding your head like, yes, this is amazing. I understand 3 phases. I feel inspired. Cool. But inspiration without action is just intellectual junk food. You'll feel good for a few hours and then go right back to whatever mediocre thing you were doing before. So, let's fix that. Here's your mastery toolkit, concrete things you can actually do. 1. Pick one skill and commit to sucking at it. Don't explore your interests, don't dabble, pick one thing and say, I am willing to be garbage at this for at least 6 months. This is the price of admission. Put it in your calendar, name it, own it, and track the reps, not the results. 2. Find someone ahead of you and copy them at first. Forget originality, that comes later. Your job right now is pattern recognition. Find someone whose style, output, or approach resonates with you and shamelessly copy their structure until you understand why it works. Make feedback a system. Waiting for feedback from the universe is a trap. You need intentional loops. After every session, what went well? What sucked? What will I try differently next time? You don't need a coach, you need a mirror you're not afraid to look into. And 4, put time on the calendar, not in your imagination. Thinking about mastery doesn't make you a master. Practice does. And practice doesn't happen unless you give it a home in your actual week. You'll always find something that's supposedly more important to do than suck at a new skill. So, I hope this video has shown you that mastery isn't reserved for a chosen few. It's not about genius or about finding your true calling before you hit puberty. It's about doing the work, badly, repeatedly, deliberately, until it stops being bad and it starts being you. Some days you'll feel like you're on the edge of brilliance. Other days you'll feel like a complete idiot. Good. That's how it's supposed to feel. One rep, one experiment, one awkward, painful iteration at a time. So stop looking for the shortcut. You're already on the path. Just stay on it longer than everyone else. And eventually, they'll call you a genius. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.